Welcome back to Rochester Living with Mark Siwiec and Corey James Moran, brought to you by Elysian Homes by Mark Siwiec and Associates. This is episode 208. Mark, welcome to fall.
I was just going to say the exact same thing. Yeah, welcome to fall. Yeah.
It went from literally 90 degrees, scorcher for, I don't know, felt like 50 of the last days, to now it's 60 and rainy. And
yeah. Is it a pumpkin mocha latte that you're drinking?
Oh, I crushed that earlier.
Yeah,
absolutely.
okay, good.
Yeah. After I went to Lowe's and picked up all of the animatronics for Halloween that are already out.
Yeah, the 12-foot. He's got a name. I'm not even sure.
The skeleton?
Yeah, the skeleton. Yeah.
Is it Jack the Pumpkin King from
I don't
Nightmare
know.
Before Christmas?
Wow.
Maybe? I don't know.
Wow.
But yeah, my wife, where was she? She was in Target. She's like, it's already all out.
Oh God, yeah. I mean, 2 weeks ago, like the 10th of August, the 15th of August.
It just keeps getting pushed back.
Yeah.
I don't understand.
Yeah.
But anyways, on the podcast this week, we have a wonderful guest. We have Mallorie Rulison, a candidate for Monroe County Family Court judge. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
And also a former client of mine.
There we go.
Yeah. Helped sell your place. Was that last year or 2 years ago?
Last year.
Last year, that's
just
right.
past a year in June.
There we go.
Yeah.
You just said you were back in the neighborhood dropping off T-shirts, and you were there for how many hours talking to neighbors?
3 hours. 3 hours saying hello to everybody I've missed so much.
There we go. We're going to get into your candidacy, how you got to this point, and then obviously your goals for the future coming up in a bit. But real estate first. I mean, not a ton.
Is there anything to talk about?
A little bit. I mean, again, still very sleepy. Do you know what's really interesting?
What?
I just keep seeing, I go through my Facebook feed, and I keep seeing all these very notable agents that are always top producers that are listing things very out of where they normally list properties.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah. I mean, I just had a listing appointment in Springwater, not necessarily a place that we're not. No,
you are the Springwater go-to.
I don't. No, that's not necessarily the goal, but lovely property there. But I see more and more agents that are out in Macedon or Warsaw or out in Hilton that typically are more Brighton, Pittsford, East Side kind of agents. So that is kind of interesting.
I think that things are just going to continue to evolve, and I'm not quite sure. I was hopeful for a resurgent fall.
Yeah.
I'm not quite sure. So I think that agents are just going to grab onto whatever it is. So if I got to drive an hour and 15 minutes to my listing appointment, fine, so be it. So,
right.
Yeah.
In terms of listings, we did see a bit of an uptick in Monroe County, actually kind of healthy. It's 547 last week. That was down from the previous week. We jumped back up. Currently 585 single-family active listings in Monroe County.
Okay.
It's kind of a healthy jump there. Not as big for the 6-county region. It was 1034 last week. We're at 1057 right now. So obviously Monroe County is bearing the brunt of that.
Yeah.
Under contract and pending, those numbers still going down, which again, that tells us that properties continue to sit. Last week it was 1233 for Monroe County. Now it's 1216. And for the 6-county region, it was 1833 last week, down to 1828.
Did we talk about this last week? I find it so interesting, so fascinating that for more than 5 years now, we have had to counsel our buyers about, yes, we know it's difficult, but you've really got to purchase because this is just going to, property values are going to continue to increase. You don't want to be left behind, et cetera. And so many buyers have, bemoan the fact that the issue of affordability is at all-time lows.
Sure.
Finally, we get a little bit of reduction in interest rates. Finally, we get buyers who are going on the sidelines, making it easier for those to remain in the field. It makes it easier for them to purchase. And everybody's just taking a step. Like now is the moment that everybody's been waiting for the past 5 years, and they're all stepping up. They're stepping back and stepping aside. So it's an interesting phenomenon.
It is, and there's some really interesting things playing out too. And I keep seeing this with some of the clients of mine that are active right now, where properties are going past that delayed negotiations period, and you look at what the list price was, and you think, there's no way a nice house, I did the background on it, there's no real issues with it, didn't sell in Webster for $220. There's no way. And then you reach out to the listing agent and you say, hey, what's going on? And they said, well, we got multiple offers, but they didn't accept.
Is that really?
A lot of that is playing out. Where they're keeping it at that original list price, so they obviously were pricing it low to get it high, and just hoping someone comes along that's going to pay that price, I guess. I mean, I asked that agent specifically, I said, what are your seller's expectations? And he said, higher than ask. And I said, does it start with a 3? And he said no to that. So it's not like crazy, but still.
It's an interesting time. The re-education of sellers, which is something that has been evolving over the course since April, May, June, July, for the past 4 months. The re-education of sellers, I think, is something. Thankfully, we're still a pocket in the United States that is not having to endure price reductions, which is playing out in so many parts of the country.
Well, if you watch the national headlines, I mean, it's a buyer's market now.
Yes, yeah,
right.
yeah.
That's what wasn't there. Like, was it Time? I don't know. There was some prominent magazine that stated, it's time is back for the buyers.
Yeah, right. And that is indeed playing out in probably 80% of the country right now. But right now here, it is still very, very competitive. There still aren't enough. But it's a market that's very much in fluctuation, very much in swing. Things are changing, and it's just going to continue to evolve. So,
and it's a different frustration for a buyer because now it's not having to duke it out with 10 other offers. Now it's getting the seller to just concede and sell for a reasonable price.
Right.
I mean, I've experienced that as well. And it's interesting too, because how that seller is prepped by their agent means so much. If they go into the listing process and their agent's telling them, you're going to get $350 for this, guarantee it. We're going to list it at $250. It's going to go for $350 guaranteed. And then it doesn't.
Right.
And then someone comes along and offers $275. They're going to balk at that versus an agent that is saying, it could go this way. Mentally prepare yourself. Where they might be willing to take that.
Such a great observation, Bud. Yeah. A really, really good observation. And yeah, as I said, it's just going to continue to evolve. So
you mentioned rates, Mark. Those are still pretty flat. 30-year is 6.6 right now, which is just a tick up from last week, which was 6.58. And the 15-year was at 5.96, up from 5.92.
I mean, not a bad 15-year rate.
Yeah, again.
It is interesting. Did you see this morning that the president is now trying to push Lisa Cook, one of the governors of the Federal Reserve, trying to push her off the board.
Trying to stack the deck?
Yeah, he really is. And it's just one more step toward an erosion of the independence that was granted by Congress back in, when Woodrow Wilson, 1913 or something like that. Very, very, very scary stuff. I mean, I talked about this a couple of weeks ago, but she is being accused of fraud.
Oh.
And she's being accused of trying to negotiate a lower rate for a personal mortgage, and she's and it's just at this point in time an accusation. She's not been found guilty. She's not been found culpable. But yet there is in all capital letters, resign now.
She was trying to negotiate the price lower by saying, well, we're going to lower rates. Is that?
She was trying to negotiate a lower 30-year mortgage rate for her own property.
Got it.
Yes,
Okay.
Yeah. So, which is something.
So don't you know who I am, basically?
Well,
people in power never do that.
That is, well, I mean, look at the president. I mean, the president, was found actually guilty of, I think he had to come up with, $50 million or something, as a result of manipulating and inflating his net worth so that he could actually negotiate a lower interest rate. So it is, once again, I'm going to accuse you of that which I personally am guilty. So, but all that aside, I do think, and it's going to continue to, I think, concern me and I think many, many others, this erosion of the independence of the Federal Reserve. And boy, oh boy.
Buckle up?
Yeah, buckle up. But over the course of the next month, throughout September, we're going to start to see more and more. There are currently 11 candidates who are vying for the opportunity, or 11 named candidates who are vying for the opportunity to replace Jerome Powell. Okay. So those interviews will start to play out in the month of September. Let's see. Let's hope that this is a process that plays out well.
Okay.
I don't know.
Before we chat more with Mallorie, do you want to mention your listing you've got coming up?
Oh, great. Actually went live just a few hours ago. Barony Woods, gorgeous property, Woodstone custom-built homes, Woodstone Custom Homes, built in 1989. Just this 6,100 square foot fortress. I mean, it's a beautiful house, soaring ceilings.
Compound might come in handy soon.
Yeah. I mean, all brick exterior, all brick front, I should say. Very, very private wooded lot. There are only 8 homes in this cul-de-sac. Really a great property. $1.25 million. Went live earlier this morning. So,
okay.
Yeah.
All right. Mallorie, you ready?
Mallorie.
Yeah,
Let's
ready
get to you.
go.
So again, you're a candidate for Monroe County Family Court Judge.
Correct.
But let's start at the beginning here. Brighton native originally.
Yep.
Mercy grad.
Correct.
Got it.
2003.
I've got to shout out my wife works there now. So.
There we go.
And then St. Lawrence for undergrad, and then Syracuse for law.
Correct.
Correct? Okay. And then from there, bring us up to speed from that moment to where we are now.
So, well, actually, throughout college and law school, I would come back for the summers and intern for the County of Monroe, working for the Children's Services, their Juvenile Prosecutor's Office, and the Parks Department. So, I love Rochester. Rochester is a great community. It's a small community, and I knew I wanted to come back. So after law school, I moved back to Rochester. I ended up buying a house using Mark's office in the city of Rochester, the North Winton area. So I lived there for 9 years. During that time, I worked for the County of Monroe as a Monroe County Deputy Attorney. And I represented all of the departments in the County of Monroe. So anything from slip and falls to your employee did this, the county attorney did this, the Monroe County Sheriff's Office, they used excessive force against me. So anything that came against the county, I helped represent in litigation.
Was Bill Taylor overseeing the department at that point?
So actually, Bill had moved on to the county executive's office, but he introduced me to the county attorney who was just stepping in, Meredith Smith. Okay. And it was funny because he calls me up and he goes, "Hey, Mallorie, you want to meet the new county attorney?" It's like, absolutely. I will never say no to meeting somebody. So turns out it was an interview.
Oh.
Yeah, I was like, there's
Little
a big
setup.
difference between meeting somebody and an interview. So at the end of meeting her, she's like, "Okay, we'll bring you back for a second round." And I was like, "A second round of what?"
That was when you realized it was an interview, after it was over.
Exactly. So I go back to the law firm I was working at that time, which was Siwiec, Cristo, Selzer, and Andolina, where I was doing general practice. I did a lot of family law, matrimonials. I also did real estate there. So I go to one of my colleagues, and I was like, "I think I just had a job interview." And she's like, "What do you mean?" I was like, "Yeah, I think I just interviewed for the County of Monroe." So I ended up getting that job, and, comes with the benefits of pension, county employment.
Yeah.
So how do you pass that up?
Yeah, no, that's awesome.
And a much shorter name than Siwiec, Cristo.
That's a lot of names.
Selzer and Andolina. I know.
You rounded that off pretty fast.
Reefers, yeah.
And, you forget to name one of those names and they come for you.
Oh, man.
So, but that was a great firm. So it was a hard time, but I was like, "Oh yeah, you're going to put me back in the juvenile prosecutor's office or children's services, and I'm going to go back to my love of working with families and children." And they go, "Yeah, we're putting you in litigation." And I was like,
A little more contentious.
"Huh? What do you mean?" And they're like, "Yeah, you're gonna defend the county." And I was like, "Okay, I'm up for the challenge." So I did that for 6.5 years. And during that time, I'm in court all the time. I'm in federal court, state court, administrative, in front of administrative judges. And so during the course of that time, actually my very first appearance at Siwiec Cristo was with this law clerk, Kevin Aska. So fast forward in time, Kevin Aska's son interns for me at the County of Monroe. And fast forward a little more, he's running for Supreme Court. So I jump on that campaign to help, and he won that election, and I ended up being his law clerk. So for the past 5.5 years, I've been
It's been
principal
that
law.
long.
Yeah, it's flown by.
Wow.
So, I always get sad leaving a new job, also because I just don't like change.
Sure.
But you always take up a great opportunity. So they put us in matrimonials when I first started in Supreme Court. I'm like, great, I'm back to helping families. I love it. It's my passion. I love helping custody, visitation, resolution. And then after maybe 2.5 years of doing that, they changed us to civil. So now I'm back to litigation, which I was doing at the county. So car accidents, breaches of contracts, you name it, we pretty much do it.
So if you had your druthers in your current role, what kind of cases would you like to actually be involved and engaged in?
So I love doing matrimonials.
Nobody likes
love
matrimonials.
Well, at the end of the day, you're helping somebody in need. You're giving them hope and you're giving them a resolution. Do they always love your resolution?
Sure,
no. But sometimes you're the source of peace for them. You have two sides to an argument. Well, I should say what they always say is there's 3 sides to every argument. There's your side, and the truth. Yeah. So really, you're hearing both sides of the argument, and you're saying, okay, well, let's see what's a common point, and let's see what still needs to be resolved. And a lot of times, people are just overhearing what the other is saying, and you're the one that's just dwindling it down and saying, okay, so actually we just have one dispute left. Let's divide the dishes and move on. So,
Yeah.
you know.
So this is one of the questions that I was going to ask, which is whether or not your approach to law, let's talk about family court for a second, is your approach to dispassionately interpret the law, or do you see it as an opportunity to help somebody potentially in need, or help a family that is struggling?
You know, for me, it's a mixture. You always have to follow the law.
Of course.
But what I found, especially doing matrimonials, is when two sides come together, you can actually be more creative. So if I have to decide the case for you, I have to decide it based on the law. But if we can sit down at a table and discuss some type of resolution that will work for both of you, then that leads to more of a lasting resolution. So I very much want to be a source of hope for people.
I love
you know,
that.
a lot of people come to court and they're like, oh, he's playing a game with me, or, you know, this happened in the past and I just can't let it go. I want to be here to be the source of reality. Say, okay, let's put behind you what has happened. How are we going to move forward? And honestly, I don't want people to dread coming to court, because sometimes court, it is there to be a resource for you. And that's what I want to be, is a resource to help families move forward
So many
and
people
gain stability.
See this kind of like it's dictated to you what's going to happen versus being involved in the process, which makes total sense why that would make people feel better about it.
Exactly. Like when it comes to custody, I go, okay, you guys are fighting, there's 7 days a week. You guys are fighting over 6 of the days. Well, if I have to decide it and there's no issues in the case, you're getting half the time, you're getting half the time. But you work days and you work nights. How can we resolve this so you get your time during the day and you get your time during the night? So
It's kind of like the puzzle a little bit of
exactly.
Yeah, a very highly emotional puzzle.
It is very highly emotional. So that's, you know, a lot of what comes into it is the demeanor of the judge. You know, not getting wrapped into that emotional aspect of the case, but also having empathy for the parties at the same time. So it's definitely a balance.
Steve Lindley, we had Justice Lindley on a few months ago, and he spoke very, very eloquently. And he's got some great stories about, you know, literally saying to the deputies in the courtroom, okay, get ready, we're all getting into our cars, we're driving over to the residence, and we're going to figure out who gets the saute pan and who gets the tea kettle. I literally drove over there with the estranged husband, the estranged wife, and the deputies, and they went through, you want this blanket? Great. You want this frying pan? Terrific.
Yeah.
That's one approach, isn't it?
A lot of it is having patience. You know, not saying,
I
listen,
would fail.
you got 5 minutes, 5 minutes to tell me what you want. Instead, it's sitting through, hey, what do you want? I mean, we had this one case years ago at this point where the sole issue was one party was mad at the other party because in the course of a fight, they said, I don't love you. I never loved you. And that was the holdup to the whole divorce. And so we sat down. We said, did you say this in anger or did you mean this? He goes, I said it in anger. You know, I didn't mean it. And we go, would you apologize to the other side? And the party goes, yeah, I will. So the party apologized to the other party, said, listen, we had a nasty fight. I did not mean it. That's all it took to resolve it. So
Seems kind of easy.
yeah, it's literally just talking out of the issues.
Wow. So it's kind of part like marriage counselor / therapist, really.
Very much. And, you know, what you can't resolve, then you do go to trial.
Yeah.
And that's what the law is for, is to help
did you-
decide those cases.
Did you take any like psychology courses or anything like that?
I was a psychology
Okay.
major.
Now it's clicking. Now it's all making sense.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
in college, I was like, I'm going into psychology. I wanted to do criminal psychology as well, but there was only a couple schools that offered it. And then my junior year of college, I actually studied abroad in England. And for, I think, 1 month of the program, you did an internship. So I'm like, this is my opportunity to do whatever. So I signed up to be on Nickelodeon because I wanted to be in a show. I did not get it. So
Okay.
I was like, well, there's another one. You can be in a TV show, because what's better than bragging about being in a TV show in England? I did not get that one. So they were like, you're going to a solicitor's firm. I go, I don't know what that is. And so in England, there's not law firms. It's a solicitor's firm or a barrister's firm. The solicitor does all the work in the office. They do the case prep, they meet with the clients, the witnesses, and then the barrister is actually the one that puts on the robe and the wig and goes to court to argue the case.
Okay, interesting.
So as a representative of the solicitor's firm, they would send me to go to court with the barrister. And that was really my first introduction. They were like, okay, you're going to court. Hey, you're going to this house and taking pictures of this crib that broke. And so we can assess the injuries. Or you're going to watch this witness tape and actually sit with the mother of the individual in the tape and explain to her why her son is here. So that piqued my interest. And I was like, you know what? I kind of like the law.
So are photos going to surface sometime between now and the end of the campaign of you in a powdered wig?
You know what? I think it's one of the judges in the office has one sitting on his desk, and I've been very close of taking it, but it might get me in a little bit of trouble.
There you go. Yeah,
So
Wow.
I might try towards the end.
So let's chat about, so obviously been on, one side of the bench, now wanting to move on to the other side.
Correct. I just have such a passion for the law and for helping people, and this opportunity opened up. And again, it comes back to, right now I'm in civil. I love civil. I'm familiar with civil, but I really want to go back to helping individuals in the community. And family court will give me that opportunity to go back to working with families.
Now, let's chat about the campaign. What's that been like?
You know what? Luckily, I'm a very social person because it has been a lot of socializing.
Yep.
So it's a lot of going to festivals and meeting people, introducing people, explaining who I am, where I came from. And as I tell everybody as well, if you see me, please approach me. Most of the time, if we're at a festival, I'm probably going to get food eating first because I've learned if you don't eat first, you're not eating the entire day. So stop me when I'm eating and shopping and whatnot. Introduce yourself to me as well. And if you have an experience in family court, let me hear it. I can't talk about current cases going on, but I like hearing, what was one positive takeaway that you got from family court? Because that's how people on the bench are going to learn, this worked for some individuals and this did not work for other individuals. But it's been busy the last couple of months.
So I'm getting a recurring theme here, which is I just keep sensing this desire on your part, whether it's becoming a therapist, a psychologist, psychiatrist, which is something you were thinking about, or becoming involved in the law, or now becoming a judge. The kernel, the recurring theme seems to be your desire to help.
Correct. Help and being part of this community. I mean, you always read things in the news, and at night you think, what can I do to help? And one thing I could do to help is become a Monroe County Family Court judge and really, again, be a pillar for this community to stand on. I want to be, as I said before, a pillar of hope. When there's a contentious circumstance going on in your house, I want you to feel like you can come to court and get a resolution.
Where do you think this all comes from? I mean, do you think it's just biology, or was there a moment in time as a 7-year-old where you saw something or you were inspired in some way?
I think it's over the course of life in general. In high school, actually, I had friends that were dating, and whenever they had issues, they just came to me, and I'm like, sure, I'll mediate this. So
Started very young.
It literally
Yeah.
started in high school.
I mean,
and
if you
I'm
can handle a high school relationship, I feel like everything else is just cake, right?
Exactly. And then the same thing in college, it would happen to me. Also, what didn't help is in college I had 2 back surgeries. So in my sorority house, I had a chair in the corner of my room, and that's where I was stuck because I couldn't go out to the bar or whatnot because I just had back surgery.
Yeah.
And people would come to me with their problems. And so it was like an ongoing joke. Like, if you have a problem, go see Mallorie. She's in her chair in her room. So, it's just been over the course of the years, seeing how even just talking through issues come to help people. And I've just grown to really enjoy that.
And there is, of course, you're talking about one-on-one, a circle of friends, but also, your dad in particular. I mean, I know you as a result of, befriending your dad 20 years ago with Bob Duffy's campaign to be mayor. You seem to have also just grown up in a household in which there was a commitment to doing something to make this a better community.
Correct. My dad and my mother have been very involved in this community. So actually, I was the little 4-year-old girl going door to door, vote for my dad for, I think it was town council or something.
It was a Brighton Town Board.
Yeah. So throughout the years, I've traveled along with my parents, going to events and meeting people, and I've just really enjoyed it, getting to know as many people as I can in the community. And you learn what a small world it is. I mean,
Especially Rochester, yeah.
Exactly. I always tell people, I have one story. My best friend right now, I met her through a young lawyer's volleyball season that we did, and she's not a lawyer. And so, of course, I befriended the one non-lawyer on the team. And she was home talking one day, and she was telling her dad, "Oh, I met this young attorney. Like, I think we're going to be friends. And her name's Mallorie Rulison." And her dad goes, "Is she related to Joe?" That's always the question I get. Is Joe her father? And she was like, "I don't know. Let me text her." So I get a text. "Is Joe your dad?" I was like, "Yeah." He goes, "Well, I grew up with her father and what was in the same grade as
Syracuse?
her uncle in Syracuse. And then my grandfather was her grandfather's attorney."
Oh, that's really funny.
I'm like, it all like circles back around.
It's one of those towns. We all know each other.
Yes,
Yeah.
for sure. So, I guess from the experience growing up and kind of seeing firsthand like what it takes to get into the political realm, what have you taken from that? What kind of an advantage does that give you?
I've had a lot of connections over the years, which has really helped. Also because I can tend to be shy. So it's nice, going to events and being like, "Oh, I've seen you 10 times, during the course of, I don't know, I've also helped on other campaigns. So like during the course of my boss's campaign, like, "Oh, I've seen you at these events." So it's great for networking. Networking has been a really big source of my life, either from job to job or even, practicing law. When I was at the county, if I had an issue come up, like I'd text somebody that I met at a young lawyers meeting, being like, "Hey, have you had this issue come up before?" So, it's been really helpful getting to know a more, I would say, a variety of people in the community as well.
Okay.
Tell me about you and I offline. We started to talk a little bit. One of my passions is AI.
Yes.
I'll be back in about 45 minutes.
I love AI. Tell me, I'm genuinely interested in the role that AI is playing because you're reading the stories about attorneys who are coming before a judge. They've relied on AI. The AI is hallucinated, and they're citing cases that don't actually exist. That's one way that I know that AI has entered the courtroom. There have got to be other stories, other issues. Talk to me a little bit about that, if you would.
Yeah, AI has been fascinating. Actually, I was just talking to another judge, and I was like, "Hey, just use ChatGPT for this." And they're like, "What's that?" And I was like, "What do you mean?" I was like, "ChatGPT helps everybody." And that's one thing attorneys are turning to is ChatGPT. And there is that famous case of an attorney used ChatGPT to write a legal memo. Turns out ChatGPT makes up citations, quotes, statutes, and they don't check their work. So AI, it can be a positive and a negative. I can write it. I've never used it in writing a decision for my judge, but I've used it in thank you notes. So I write out a sentence and say, "Hey, make this sound more eloquent."
Yeah,
And it just pops up.
Yep.
So actually, I was reading a couple of different cases, and there is a 74-year-old man in New York who was arguing. It must have been one of the appellate courts because it was a panel of 5 judges. And he plays a video. And within a second, the judge is like, stop this video right now. It's a younger man who's very good looking, and it starts with, "May I please the court?" And the judge is like, "This is not a real man."
Really?
Yeah, and the individual whose argument it was goes, "No, he's not a real man. I generated him. He's AI." So he wanted to plead his case by having an AI character argue it for him. So I was like, it presents a really interesting question of, representation versus, I don't know, more presenting your case.
Right, because if you're technically representing yourself, aren't you able to present your case in any manner that you wish?
That's an interesting case. So I have not had this come up in court yet, but you think about the wider range of people who it could help. It could help people who have a speech impediment, or we've had people come into the courtroom that have oxygen tanks and they can't speak. So what if you type it into AI and AI reads it off for you?
Yeah.
So it's become a very interesting argument, and I think that is going to blow up soon because it does provide such a resource, especially for pro se litigants.
Well, it can help you, this is the point I'm trying to make. How do I present this in the strongest way possible? So it helps you kind of develop the thought, and then presenting the thought is the next step, because, certainly you mentioned a couple of examples, but not everyone is comfortable speaking in public, and you kind of freeze up. So,
well, it goes even beyond that. I think the case a couple of years ago. We had a prospective tenant who said that she wanted to rent from us. Terrific. Fills out the application. Turns out that she had a pet. We don't accept pets. She kept pushing. Over 2 days, we're like, we don't accept pets. We rented it to somebody else. She files a lawsuit because we denied her the opportunity to rent because she had an emotional support animal, which is not a pet. It's legally, they are two separate entities. I hire a law firm to represent me. I think that things are going along beautifully. I get notice from the state 6 months later, why haven't you responded to the accusations that have been brought against you? The law firm had dropped the case, had completely forgotten about it. I fired them. I turned to ChatGPT, wrote it all up beautifully. Done. End of story. I saved myself thousands of dollars. So it is interesting the ability that a layperson has to actually represent themselves or to determine whether or not one course of action legally is viable as opposed to another.
Right. And, all the time in court, you do see individuals who they can't afford an attorney. They come before you. They maybe have a high school education, and ChatGPT helps them articulate the whole argument. I mean, I watched on TikTok last night, somebody typed in the facts of their case and said, ChatGPT, give me all my causes of action. And within seconds, it's like, okay, you have these 10 causes of action, and let me help you put it into a complaint. So, on the one hand, it really is helping people articulate their argument and provide them with knowledge. Although I don't believe you should ever use it as a replacement for an attorney, but for those people who cannot afford one, it's providing a terrific resource. I mean, have you ever gone to the doctor and gotten one of those MyChart notifications? You copy, you paste it, and put in ChatGPT,
and we've done it. Yeah,
you get in layperson's terms what it means.
So what are the downsides or the negatives? In the courtroom, you're a sitting judge. What are the negatives? What are the guardrails that need to be set in place in order to prevent malfeasance of some sort?
Yeah. So the biggest issue for me is going back to that case with the attorneys. What is the accuracy of it? If they're getting this legal information from ChatGPT and all of it is made up, well, then you're not actually fairly representing yourself. So that is one of the biggest issues that I see. But also, although ChatGPT can give you causes of action, it doesn't always mean that's going to be the best course for your case. So it doesn't quite replace, the brainstorming of an attorney and what might be the best action to take, even though you might have 10, maybe only one is the one you should really proceed on, because 9 others could be kind of frivolous and you're going to get sanctioned. Or those attorneys who did the fake sites, they all got sanctioned as well. And I heard another story where a woman for $1,000 hired a law firm and to do an appellate brief. So they used ChatGPT, did the appellate brief, had all fake citations, even though she was pro se.
And you might want to define. You might want to define pro se.
Pro se means a non-represented party, so they're representing themselves rather than having an attorney. So it presents some dangers, and then there's the fear as well. And actually, you see this in job interviews lately, where you just have it live on your phone. So it's listening to the question asked and telling you what the answer is. So
seriously,
yes. So there's a lot of videos where the interviewers are like, show me your screen right now. And they'll have their computer screen here, but right here is their cell phone. And you're watching it translate live, like, this is the answer to the question.
That's wild.
So
that's terrifying, because then you're putting somebody in a position that they actually have no real knowledge of.
Yeah, they're just reading whatever's written on screen. So then they show up to the job and they can't perform. Yeah, but that was one of the concerns for court. Are people going to start wearing an earpiece?
That was my next thought, yeah.
Yeah, so it goes on your phone and it's reading in your ear what you're going to say. And unless there's a request granted, you can't have the technology in the courtroom. You can't record a court proceeding. So it's going to present a lot of issues for the court as well.
Just look at that, like, how could that actually be pulled off? Having it in your ear and then you're quick enough to process what's being said and then regurgitate it out in real time. That seems like it'd be difficult.
I have not seen it yet, but
Difficult, yes, if what it is that you're listening to is sentences and sentences
Sure,
and sentences.
yeah.
But if it's just a prompt,
Sure.
cite Smith versus Jones.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden,
True.
the attorney who's listening is like, you just get 3 words, and like all of a sudden you're off and running on.
Yeah.
Yeah. I always cite, and it's very obvious, but we are in a world right now that needs to be legislated. The guardrails do not exist. And there were so many problems during the Industrial Revolution in the late 1800s where we had child labor laws. We had children, we had women who were working for 18 hours a day in these sweatshops. We had people whose arms were being cut off. We needed to create legislation to help tame the technologies that were new to industry at that point in time. The same is going on here with ChatGPT and other AIs. We need desperately, and the problem is we've got a bunch of septuagenarian and octogenarians who are in Washington who don't understand how to turn on a computer, let alone how to harness the powers of AI. And it's not. I am not hopeful that we're going to have the necessary guardrails in place anytime soon.
well, it's crazy. With COVID, that actually came as like a huge revelation to the court system as well, because the court system is very behind on technology.
Yes.
At that point, none of us even had laptops. So it's like you get sent home and it's figure out how to work. I'm like, oh, okay. But at this point, it's helped incorporate, how can we provide access to the courthouse to everybody? And it was very interesting because COVID happened when I started, 3 months after I started my new job. So, I was there while they were developing all the procedures on how we're going to proceed with virtual trials, virtual hearings, virtual, even just appearances. So it's kind of like you can place as many rules in anticipation for something, and it's not until you start going through it, you're like, oh, wait, we need to fix this. We got to
It's impossible to know
this.
all of the logistics of what's going to work.
Exactly.
And what doesn't.
Genie's been let out of the bottle. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but I
exactly.
mean, in my opinion, it's been great for the court system because it provides so much more access. It saves attorneys' fees for people who don't have money. I mean, instead of going and sitting in the courtroom for 3 hours waiting for your case to be called, I have a Teams invite for 9 o'clock, and I know that's the time it's going to be called.
Right.
So, it's helped provide access for even individuals who can't take off 3 hours of work to come to court. They can hop on a Teams meeting for 10 minutes, or they don't have to secure childcare. They don't have to pay $10 for parking. So really,
Well, speed of the court too. It's got to speed things up a little bit. Not
Oh, yeah.
court's a little notorious for slow.
yeah, it's helped maintain organization, and I'm very much all about organization, so I love it.
Tell me, I love journeys. I want to go back to journeys, sort of your beginning. And I love how it is that one progresses from a neophyte to an expert. What through the years have you relied on? Are there individuals? Are there professors? Are there historic figures, judges, previous Supreme Court justices who have inspired you or have help you to formulate your current understanding of and relationship to law?
Yeah, a lot of it has been local individuals, a lot of local judges. The one good thing during my practice at Trevette, Cristo, Salzar, and Andalina, and the County of Monroe.
Can we say just Trevette?
Trevette.
It's gonna make all the other guys mad.
I know.
Poor Bucky.
Well, actually, the firm name may have changed by now. I know I should just say Bucky's firm.
You're right.
But I've gotten to know a lot of the judges. That's one thing that the technology has taken away is those in-person experiences, getting to know the deputies, the law clerks, even the secretaries, the judges themselves. So, back in practice, I really got to know a lot of the judges. I got to see how they upheld decorum in the courtroom. And I can tell you some of them were terrifying. And you see the difference in the bar a judge sets in their courtroom There's some that were more relaxed and people took advantage of it. And then there were some where if you're 1 minute late, your case is tossed.
Can you, I mean, would you be comfortable? Because I'm fascinated by that. I mean, I love to hear there's somebody who's that sort of strict, because there does need to be a respect for the law. There does need to be respect for the bench, and there needs to be decorum. Are you comfortable stating a few judges who you feel as though nailed that?
Oh, yeah. I mean, whether or not they're comfortable with it. Judge Sander, he was one of the best judges, knowledgeable, very hard. He was the one that was tough. You're late, your case is out. One of the last appearances I had with him, it was fantastic. It was a young attorney, and he usually went through to see who was ready to proceed on their case. So when he calls your name, you're standing up to talk to him. And this young attorney's sitting at the table, and he is like, yeah, I'm blah, blah, blah from this firm. And Judge Sander goes, no, you stand up right now. He goes, you're going to start over again. And so the kid's like, okay, stands up, introduces themselves, and then sits back down and starts arguing. And Judge Sander goes, no, you're going to start over again, and you're going to stand up, because standing up is a sign of respect to the court.
Yeah.
I think it was maybe the third or fourth time around that the kid finally had it clicked and learned.
Keep standing.
You stand up every single time you talk to that judge.
I've seen enough television to know that that's sort of standard practice.
Right?
Yeah, I'm sure that kid knew from that step forward. So he was one of the best judges there was, because on top of all that, he was so smart and his decisions were so well written that he could be mean to you, and you're the reason why.
Yeah.
You would just walk away saying, yeah, I did mess that up. So, he was fantastic. There was Judge Taddeo. I came to develop a very close relationship with her. She was fantastic. She knew her stuff. Her law clerk was fantastic. And, she was one that also showed, how you really work through a case, in the conferences. Let's talk about what's outstanding and what has been worked on and how we're going to move this case going forward. So, I mean, there's been a whole slew of judges that have just been fantastic, and then you come to work with them and you're like, oh, they're even better. And now they're a resource, because anytime I have an issue, I just walk down the hallway and talk to them.
Oh, that's great.
What do you think your style is going to be?
I'm a mix of both, I would say. I'm very stern on the rules. You follow rules, and that's how you get what you want. But at the same time, you have to take into consideration who's in the courtroom. Is it a pro se individual? Well, I'm going to still kind of walk you through, showing respect in the courtroom. Show respect to the staff, show respect to the other party, show respect to the attorneys. But have a little bit of leeway understanding if an individual has not been in a courtroom before and isn't comfortable with it. So
we're not slamming the gavel.
Yes.
Is that a
thing?
You know
what?
Is that actually a thing?
I don't believe so.
You just lied to me.
I have a gavel pencil that I keep saying I'm going to bring into the courtroom and slap on the table.
Well,
but
it's the same effect.
My judge said no to that one.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, maybe I'll do the gavel.
Bring it back. There you go.
Exactly.
The wig and the gavel.
Definitely got to have the wig. Tell me what. All right. So tell me how it is that one. You choose, but I'd love to actually hear. I'm not going to prejudice it. How do you keep up, or how does one keep up on what is playing out in law, and how do you keep up on the direction of the law and new cases and new precedents?
So, the Fourth Department often issues their cases on a Friday afternoon.
The Fourth Department being?
The Fourth Department Appellate Division, which oversees the courts in Monroe County, other counties as well, but I focus on Monroe County. So it's checking to see what their decisions have been recently, what laws they've come out with, have they overturned cases. But on top of that, there are continuing legal education courses, so we call them CLEs. And there's the Judicial Institute, which provides CLEs for the court system, so judicial and non-judicial. So I'm considered non-judicial staff. And they're all free, so you can watch them all the time. And once a year, they'll have like the annual labor law update, or, Article 78 101. And so I watch a lot of those to keep up on what are the current cases that come out. And then on top of that, checking out what the Fourth Department
It sounds
has
like
issued.
a fun night at home. Boy, oh boy.
Scintillating.
Well,
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know,
Have us over.
nothing's more nerve-wracking than it's a Friday afternoon and you see one of the cases you've written the decision on, you see the name, and you're like, oh no, this is going to tell me, am I right or was I wrong?
Yeah.
So it can make for a very good Friday or a very bad Friday afternoon.
There we go.
So-
All right.
Books that you're reading right now, currently? Anything that, any podcasts, any books, anything of interest?
Honestly, I bought a book in February called Let Them. I don't know if you've heard it.
No.
Her name is, I'm going to blank on it. It's like Melanie something. She was all over TikTok, and I've been so busy, I've not been able to read it, but the whole theory is let them. Like, you're not invited to party. Instead of getting worked up over it, just let them. You know, let them go party without you.
yeah.
So it's kind of just like releasing your pressure. I can't talk to it too much because I think I've only read like page 1. But I've
the
seen a lot
basis.
about it
Yeah.
on TikTok.
All right, well, maybe the day after the election, when
Yeah, right.
you find yourself lying beachside somewhere to relax, maybe that'll be,
Exactly. I think I have a list of like 3 books. I bought another one that was about an unsolved murder in the Thousand Islands, right where my parents' cottage is. So,
Oh, there we go. You got some range.
Yeah, exactly. I got to, I think, chapter 3 on that one.
There we go. There we go. It's funny. And then election date, so November 4th, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
So
we're getting close.
A little bit of time, but it's coming up.
Yeah.
Well, awesome. Well, thank you so much.
Oh, thank you guys so much.
And
for
best of
having
luck.
Me. Thank you very much. I
Yeah.
appreciate it. And I appreciate any support I can earn coming up to November.
Yeah, absolutely.
we look forward to seeing you on the bench, Mallory. Yeah, congratulations in advance. You're going to do very, very well.
Thank you very much.
A couple of Rochester stories.
Yeah, what do you got for us, bud?
Did you see this? New Brockport president Heidi McPherson is going to be retiring.
We had dinner with Heidi 2 weeks ago.
Did she tip you off to that?
And Debbie and I said, because Alan, her husband, and by the way, I love Heidi. I love Alan. They're such great people. We're having dinner with them, and Alan announces that he's retired, and we turn to Heidi, and you're like, so when are you retiring? She says, yeah, not quite sure yet. We had some.
I'm sure she just made the decision
We
recently.
had some people over to the house last night, and Heidi's name came up, and we found out, so we immediately called her and congratulated her. She's going to be around for a couple more years, but
Yep.
she's
Through the 25, 26 academic year.
Yep.
Yeah.
She has been an incredible steward of that school. I mean,
Absolutely.
she shows up with a contingency fund of $250,000. There's a problem. There's an emergency of some sort. She had $250,000 to rely on. Since she arrived, she's now grown that to $25 million. She's started new programs, new academics. She's an incredible woman, and she's been a great president.
The first female president as well for the
First
college.
female president. Yeah, congratulations, Heidi. We love you. Yeah.
And then the last thing I want to talk about, the Great New York State Fair is happening.
Okay.
And one of the things that always happens at the New York State Fair that
The butter sculpting
Yes.
contest? Come on.
I'm so in.
No.
I'm so into the
Are
butter
you
sculpture.
competing again this year?
What was that?
Are you competing again this year?
No.
No.
No. What, the milking?
What's that?
The milking competition? Is there a milking competition?
Oh, you're going to be competing in that?
Yeah, obviously.
okay, yeah.
But the 57th annual butter sculpture, an impressive 800-pound tribute, Dairy for Good, Nourish, Grow, Thrive, features a cow with red hooves. So it's kind of a tip of the cap to Dorothy's red slippers in a hot air balloon inspired by the 125th anniversary of the wonderful Wizard of Oz. That's the butter sculpture.
Wow. Okay, well, I'll have to.
Mark's sitting in his car right now. He's going to fly out to Syracuse to check this thing out.
Well, there we go.
800 pounds of butter? Like, come on. You're not impressed. You don't seem impressed.
Does the cow have a name? I mean, is the cow's name Dorothy? Seriously, like.
I don't see. I think the name of it is Dairy for Good, Nourish, Grow, Thrive.
But the cow itself does not have a name.
No.
Okay.
No.
Remind me when we get back to the office. There was a performance artist a few years ago who her performance art piece was butter dance. Yeah. It's really
YouTube it. Worth it.
Yeah, check. Could you in post? Could you pull a butter dance? And just like 15, 20 seconds. It has to be seen.
Okay.
It's just unbelievable.
There we go.
Yeah.
All right.
What do they do with the butter if the temperature goes back up to 80?
So actually, on September 1st, it becomes renewable energy. But I think there's got to be some kind of cooling. Yeah, I know. Isn't that crazy?
It becomes renewable. Like you like siphon the liquid and throw it into your car. And
The sculpture will be recycled into renewable energy after the fair ends on September 1st.
well, there we go. There we go.
It's written on my paper. Chat wrote it. It's got to be true.
That's
It has to be
right, that's right.
true. That's a whole lesson I just taught you.
Anything else, Mark?
No, it's been slow. It's been slow. Yeah. So, but there does come that point in time every August. There's that day when you feel, honestly, you feel the winds of fall. They just start to and it started. And the wind, the sun is now lower in the sky. You're really starting to feel it, and I love it. I mean, I just love sweater weather.
Same.
But I always say, come January 1st, and I'm looking for my first tulips. So so we got a few great months ahead of us.
There we
So,
go. All right.
Mallorie, thank you so much for joining us. Really, really appreciate it. Great to have you.
Thank you for having
Yeah,
me.
thank you. And thanks for watching and thanks for listening. Talk to you again next time.